listening to Inclusive AF with Jackye Clayton and Katee Van Horn.
Welcome to the Inclusive AF podcast. This is Katee Van Horn.
Jackye Clayton. I'm so glad you're here. Happy New Year. Whenever this is going on.
Whenever this is happening. So it will be at the beginning of the year. So we wanted to talk about goal setting or not for 2020.
Or lack thereof.
Because 2020 was so wackadoo that who knows what's going to happen this year. So should we even set goals? So I did set goals this year. Did you?
I've set the goal to not set a single goal. Watching a video, the lady was showing her vision board for 2020, laughing and crying, and that was the whole video. I just couldn't. She was like, look, and it was like travel more, and it was pictures of her at the beach, and she was just like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe it was like spend more time with friends, and she would just start cackling like, I can't believe this was even a thing. So I refused to even start.
That's awesome.
That's my goal. Not planning a damn thing. I'm riding the waves.
Well, it's funny that you say it because one of my goals has been pretty much every single year is travel somewhere new. And I did get to do that because I did travel in January and then not so much for the rest of the year. So I did actually achieve that goal last year, even though I then cried for the next, 11 months, but not the point. So I'll tell you my goal setting story, if you will. So I was living in Minnesota, working for a retailer, which you all know. And I was miserable and was like, it never stops snowing here. I need to get back to Arizona. And I was spending a ton of time alone. Not that I love being alone, but it was like excessive because it was always snowing. So I was always at home. So I spent a lot of time in bookstores. And I randomly found this book called Best Year Yet by Jenny Ditzler. And it is a goal setting. I didn't even really know that that's what it was. I was like, I was like, oh, it's like some sort of like self-improvement thing. And it's 10 questions that you answer to set your goals. And you set 10 goals for the year. Okay. And so you go through these questions, and the questions are actually like, it makes you reflect on your life choices.
Oh, geez.
And
my
like
children make me reflect on my life choices and my husband daily.
Every day. But like one of the questions is like, what did you achieve last year? What didn't you achieve last year? And so like, it makes you like kind of go through this whole process, which I really do enjoy doing every year. And so usually November, I didn't do it actually until like just this last week. Cause again, 2020. But I set my goals for the year. And it's one of those books that like, I've actually given it to a ton of people. I use it in my coaching when I'm coaching folks, because I think it's one of those that you don't just have to do it in January. You can kind of do it whenever. And it's like, it's such a good reflection of the last 12 months, but then also kind of the looking forward. So that has been my goal setting tool that I've used now for years. And I will tell you, I am a firm believer in like, if you write it down and say you're going to do it, that makes it a lot more likely to happen. I know there's like stats and stuff on that, but whatever. But what I know that you said you did it this year, but you normally do. So tell me, what is your process?
I like to write mine down too. And I start looking at before when I was younger, in my younger days, a lot of it focused around career. And a lot of it focused on how I was going to get there. And I think what's interesting is that a lot of it, and I don't know, it turns into another like race discussion, even though it didn't even start out that way, is because I needed to figure out how to navigate this world on how I could get to where I wanted to be, knowing that I didn't finish my degree, knowing that but my joke has always been, I like nice things, because people have always asked me like, oh, you don't have your degree and you're sitting on the board of directors and this and that and this and that. And I'm like, well, I like nice things. So I had to figure that out. So a lot of it had to do with that. And then later it started going into a balance of personal goals. But also I look at who I need to be for my family. My kids are now 20 and about to be 18. And so I kind of reflect back, kind of like you're saying, on what have I achieved personally, professionally, but also who did I need in my life when I was 18 and 20. So I try to put all of those things together. Read a lot of books and buffet them, and usually try to take one or two from each book that something I really like. I write those things down. I started using a planner. I'm not good at it. What do you call it with the dots and all the pictures and all of those kinds?
Bullet.
The
Bullet
bullet. I'm
journal.
not, obviously, I'm not good at it if I can't even remember the name. Bullet.
I can't remember the name of anything, so no, I'm not judging you on that.
Yeah. But I like to put things down, and I have a book of fabulous ideas. Like, so I have a thing where I go and I'm like, that's a great idea that you have no time to focus on right now.
Mhm.
Write it down. So I do have one goal this year. And if you can see in the camera, I have a philodendron. You can't barely see it. The
Put it in
plant.
front of your shirt. There you go. Now you can see it.
Now you can see my goal is to have this plant by the end of the year on next year's 2021 recap. Phil, a new member of the family, and that is my only goal. I need to feel like I need to be aware of anything that's going to go sideways next year. I just want to be more ready. I don't want to be disappointed.
Okay.
I don't want to be like, there's my cleaning people keep talking about this cruise that they're planning in April, and how her dad has liver cancer and he's never been on a cruise, and it's a big deal.
Oh.
And they haven't canceled it yet. And it's like, they're canceling that sucker. Like, you need to just get over that.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm so afraid of the loss that I don't want to put a lot of energy into the future, because I just am so I feel like there's so much that could happen in the next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I love what you're saying about kind of what did you need at a certain age? Like, I think that's such a cool reflection for a parent to do, because I mean, I think every parent is thinking, okay, how could I have done better myself? What would have been helpful for me? Like, I always kind of reflect on, because I was on the 10-year plan for my college degree, not the normal 4-year. I got it done, but it took me a while. And I always like reflect back of like, wow, I wish that someone had said to me, go and do this now and
Yes.
take care of it. More from and I know that you kind of feel the same way. Like, for me, it's a piece of paper that I need to have as an entry point for different jobs. That's really what it is for me. And so it was never oh my God, I want to go to X college or university. Like, not my jam. But
Yep.
it is that, like, I'm sure because of the experiences that you had or did not have, like do you, when you were talking about going to college, obviously Hannah's in college right now, like, was that something that was like, oh no, she's going, period? Or was that how did you think about that? Like, as you know, as you're saying, kind of what my daughter needed at the time, or what I wanted for her.
Well, it was funny because I think I've always expressed to my kids, like, it was really hard. Like, I've gone through the journey, like, I've really had to hustle. And I've talked to different groups of kids, and I try to target people. Always want me to do like career days, because I've had some interesting careers. And I've always asked to talk to the kids who don't want to go to college. And I'm like, you're going to need to hustle. If you're not, then you have to make a determination on where your life is going to go. And I think about it because college isn't for everybody,
Mhm.
but you have to understand what that means, and you have to be okay with it. Hannah, my daughter, is a junior, about to be a senior in college. And she has a internship where she's a data scientist for this really cool company. Our friend that she had in high school works at the gas station up the street and came over and asked for help the other day. And she was like, if I didn't go to college, I wouldn't have an internship. Like, I'm already a data scientist. I haven't finished college. And they gave me the opportunity because I was in college versus this. And keep in mind, I told Hannah since she was born, I was never going to be able to pay for her college. Like, she's going to have to figure it out. And she's on full scholarship. Like, she was like, okay, bet, got it, got you, right? Because not everybody has the opportunities. But if we made that very clear, like, these are your routes. You're either going into military, you're getting straight A's, like, these are your choices. first grader because you're 6 and your mom is so motherly. Um, good luck. Get out there, kid. Sell some cookies. So I just feel like I needed someone to tell me my parents were awesome parents, and it's like, what did I need? And like I needed that push, and I also needed the support. So I try to support my kids as much as I can. So my goal is trying to be there for them through this next year, because they don't. That's been my biggest takeaway from 2020 is life isn't what you expect it. And I think it's been different this year from having children, especially older children, where we're all trying to hold it together and everybody has their mini breakdown at different times and everybody trying to support each other.
Right. No, and I think, it's, have you actually set goals with them ever? Has that ever been something that you've done? Like
Kind
as
of.
a family?
Yes, but we're usually like, oh, didn't know that you wanted to be in Cirque du Soleil. Okay. Oh, yes. I think they've always been shocked that we've been supportive. And they usually, like, if they're craziest goals, they usually turn away from when we're like, you want to be a deep sea diver? Okay, we're moving to Galveston. And we're like, wait, well, we have to get near the water. Like, no, I guess I don't want to do that. And you're like, okay. But we've always taken their goals very seriously. And if you're going to do it, you have to be 100%. And you have to participate. You are a team member or you are a partner, and we have to see whatever you start, we have to finish. I'm not going to make you play basketball, but you're going to practice every day and you're going to every single game, and you're going to go to your coach and tell him that you decided that you don't want to be a part of it, which means my kids come up to me in my face and they're like, I'm not cleaning my room and I don't want to. And you can ground me, but I'm not doing it.
The end.
So that kind of backfired too. But we've always taken their goals very seriously and tried to coach them through that.
Yeah. So I watch Real Housewives, and I was watching the Salt Lake City, which is
How did that happen?
bananas. And yeah, that is, our guest Tamara also watches a lot of these, but she's kind of backed off and basically said, yeah, no, I'm not watching Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, because
That's when you draw the line.
it's like, yeah, next level. But they did like a family goal setting where they each, got their poster board and wrote down their goals. And so like the 7-year-old, it was like, I want to get a BMX or whatever. I don't even remember what the goal. So it was actually really cute, because it was like, that's kind of cool that like as a family, that's what they're doing. And so like I was, reflecting on that, with my own siblings, like have they, I don't know. And I need to ask the question, like, have they ever done goal setting with their kids? Which I just think is like again, setting them up for success for exactly the reasons that you just said. Like, you have to follow through, you have to be accountable, you have to do the thing that you say you're going to do. And I think that's part of also just the goal setting that I really like, is that having them in front of my face every single day, that I have to go, okay, what have I done for this year? Or what have I done today or this week or whatever? And then it also, I do a habit tracking. So I like use every tool imaginable. So I use Todoist for like what am I doing today, tomorrow, whatever. But then I also use Habit Hub, which kind of tracks like, drink water 75 times a day because you live in Arizona and you must have the water. But I'm also learning Spanish.
Me too. I'm doing that again. I am. See,
I'm trying.
That's as far as
what are you using? What tool are you using?
Well, I'm just signed up for a class tomorrow, but I always used italki, where you meet with a person and you talk once a week, and you have those meetings. It's great. Tomorrow though, I've signed up for Spanish for beginners, which I've taken Spanish for beginners like 18 times. I think there should be advanced beginners class. It's called futurelearn.com.
Okay, right on. And so it's like going to a university type class. So it's going to a class. Okay. Yeah. I have been using Babbel.
Yes. A lot of people use Babbel.
Which I really like, because it does like, they go every time you have a review, and like the review is like listening, reading, speaking, spelling, blah, 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 writing, not spelling.
I have to get you this thing for the Spanish, because there's two things that I like. One of them, I use Drops, which is an app that it It's really basic, but there's another one that teaches you music. So I love music, and a lot of people don't know this about me, but like J Balvin, like I love Latin hip hop. It's a problem in my house because I don't know what I'm singing. I don't know what I'm saying. And then my husband speaks Spanish and he'll be like, ew, that was really, you don't want to know what you just said.
Right.
That is nasty.
Not okay.
But I'm
Yeah.
like, whatever, it has a good beat to it. But it teaches you the words it teaches you Spanish through music. So it plays the songs for you. And it's called it's the Spanish word for rhythm that is part of it. I'll send it to you and put it on the notes because it's really great. And you
Okay.
listen and you get to learn modern music, common songs alongside of the other one. So it's really cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I think, I have had kind of trying to learn Spanish just because obviously living in Arizona, it's a very helpful tool. But even, I traveled to Spain at one point, and obviously the Spanish there is different. The Castilian Spanish is different than South American Spanish. But I always have wanted to learn, a different language. And it's funny because in going to Europe, there's a couple places that speaking Spanish, you can understand what some of the other languages are. Like you can understand because the Romance language, like some of the French, some of the Italian, some of the, so you can understand when other people are speaking, but you're like, I don't know exactly what they're saying there, but I get the gist of it. But I will also say like the funniest thing is like going to, when I was in Vietnam and I was there with two other friends of mine, one who speaks Spanish, and we both did it multiple times where someone was talking to us and we're like, we have no idea what they're saying, but we were like, we started responding back in Spanish. Like, I don't understand. Then it was like, yeah, they're not, they don't understand English. I really don't understand Vietnamese. Which is just, I think, your brain does these silly things to you when we're trying to realize stuff. But I think, the one that I think is always on my list of goals, always the like saving money, losing weight, doing whatever the things to get healthier. And I think that's part of it too, is that, January in Arizona is like the perfect time to like take on new things from a physical perspective because the weather is like perfection. A little chilly in the morning, but still like right now it's, like 60 degrees out and it's like gorgeous to go hiking or walking or doing whatever. But what are some of the, like, do you have goals that are there? Like obviously like money is always one of mine, and like
Always.
how to build up the nest egg. And then at the end of the year, I'm like, wait, what? Cool things, but there's no money saved.
Right. You know what? I have diversified. Listen, I'm okay. Nobody write me about this. Nobody say a word. So,
This is a no judgment zone.
no, it was until so I've always been like, oh yeah, 401ks, right? Like sign up for your 401k and we'll reach up to 10% or we'll do all the things. Oh,
Yeah.
in the past I've done that a lot and then been like, oh, I had no idea that I had a 401k. So I put them all together. I have a nice little savings in my 401k retirement fund. I'm like, no idea. This past year, what was funny was I didn't utilize the resources. I was paying for an advisor, always busy, life happening, COVID changing jobs, like the whole thing. Like couldn't be bothered to the point where they refunded the fee because they were like, we didn't do a single thing for you and you like didn't want to talk to us. So here's your money back. Like, just go away. I was like, oh,
that's nice. But also you're like, yes, 2020. I don't want to talk about anything in long term.
But I have like this $10,000 over here in this other 401k that I forgot to tell y'all about. So if we could have a meeting about that.
Yes. I think, that consolidation of like all of the funds that you've had throughout different jobs. Although I did do one thing and my advisor kind of laughs at me about this. The first like job that I got stock or, got stock options was at Ace. And so I that, it was like, you have 11.
Yes.
And so like, it's not worth a ton of money, but it is one of those things like, hey, well, this is the first time that I was able to contribute that or like to be a part of that, which was really neat. But yeah, I think that's the saving money is always one that, kind of comes up every single year, and every year I'm like, yeah, I should do more about that. But what are the fun ones? So like the fun one that like I said is always on mine is traveling somewhere new. And that could mean
Yes.
a lot of different things. Like obviously, different countries always a good one, but it could just be like, oh, I've never been to I can't even think of good
Belize.
no, like I was gonna say in the US, like I have never been to Waco,
North Dakota.
Texas. Never been to
Waco's
Waco.
waiting for you.
Yeah.
Well, I want to travel through food this year. I decided
Okay.
at home. I have like irrational fear of food that I don't recognize the name of. So I always look it up, and like there's been times that I like looked at a recipe or went to a restaurant. Like I've traveled internationally and been like, I'm not real sure. I'm googling it. I'm like, oh, it's just pork and cabbage and whatever. I can eat that and doing that. And so, and I also started watching this YouTuber who started traveling through food, who used to be part of the Big Think. And so I decided this year I was going to start making meals, international meals from different cultures. Because when the kids were little, we used to do letters and colors. So we had a letter of the week and a color of the week, and then we'd find a food of that. And then we would study that for the whole week. Well, now they're old and they're stuck here with me. Thanks, Corona. So it's the adult version of that, where we're going to pick a country. We'll just pretend that we're in that country. We'll watch a YouTube movie from that country. We'll eat some food. We'll make it ourselves so that we can feel like we're doing something and we're not just here in Waco, Texas, in this really small house. Because I did want to get a Peloton, and I was like, I can't put it in my house, and I can only use it outside for like 3 months of the year. So I'm not. So I just wrote off exercising. Oh, here's a goal all set. I'm going to unsubscribe from all the things that I subscribe to that I pay like $60 a year that I forgot. Like, I don't know. I canceled my wine of the month club, which was an issue. Still have lots of wine. I don't drink wine. I have lots of it though. But I'm going to cancel all those things. There's a million of them. Do you have a million
Yeah,
of them? Am I the only
mine
one?
is more no. So I did unsubscribe from all of the malarkey emails, like the emails that you're gonna like, oh, here's a discount for whatever the hell you don't need today. And so I just went through in the last week and did like unsubscribe to like 100 different emails that I just get every day. It has been so first of all, I'm very proud of myself. I think I mentioned this to you. I got to inbox 0 for like approximately 10 minutes the other day. And then like truly like 5 minutes later, I was like, I don't understand how this happens. Like, I am not that cool. I should not be getting this many emails. But I did do like a, unsubscribe on these, but then also, you know what the one is that I always get every time? Magazines. I keep getting like Sunset Magazine and Real Simple, which I love both, but I'm like, I have no idea how they're being paid for on a credit card.
Are you a New Yorker? I'm not a New Yorker. Okay.
But it is like how in the world did how this? I don't even understand how it's coming.
You know how the only one I remember is People, because it's like $500 a year.
Oh, seriously?
Weekly publication. It's like $4 a week. Think about it. Just think of it's $2 a week. $8, so a year would be $100, and then they're like, "Thank you for and the only one who gets the benefit of my People magazine subscription is the library, because then I cut off my name and I donate them all to the library.
Yeah,
and that's where I read it too. I don't even read it at home. Like,
but like seriously, I don't even know what credit card it's on, and I haven't renewed it in probably 10 years, so I don't know how I'm still receiving it. And so like I need to like go and actually at some point figure this out.
Payer, like I'll look at it and it'll say, "Oh, you need to resubscribe," and you're like, "Oh, that's I'm gonna read it this year." I've done that a couple times. Let me resubscribe, and then I don't. But I have to cancel those things. And this year there was a lot of streaming services.
Yes.
That are like, some of them are attached to your cable and some of them aren't. And some of them I got Stars just to watch that one documentary about Nexium And then I
Yeah.
was like, I'm canceling it. And they just
Yeah.
kept sending emails like, I think this is a mistake. But I'm like, no, this wasn't a mistake. I'm not, I saw the movie. I'm done.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Um, yeah, I'm such a streaming, but I am also though that person that I'm like, if I don't have the channel that I want to watch the thing on, I get very frustrated.
Same.
So like, I mean, I have Hulu, I have HBO, I have
Same.
Netflix, I have
Showtime.
all of the things.
I do
I don't
too.
have Showtime.
I have Disney. I have Showtime, Disney, Hulu, Prime, HBO, regular
did-
cable.
So Peacock had like, so all the NBC stuff, I haven't signed up for it, so just using the free one right now, but that's one that I'm like, I mean, hey, who doesn't
You'll use
love
that.
a marathon of like Law and Order
Hunting.
Zvoo? I need 45 episodes of Law and Order immediately, because
Always.
because that's also like Friends. Some of those are ones that like are background noise too. And then I'm also like, I am an Apple user, so it's like I have to have the
Do you
Apple
have Apple
TV.
TV?
I have
I
Apple Music. I
hate
have
Apple
Apple.
TV, and I don't.
Don't do
It
it.
doesn't work. Nothing.
Well,
I can't
well,
hit
here's the
pay
thing.
again.
Apple TV is one of those that like you get the subscription and then you go and try to like watch something. They're like, oh, well, that's going to be $95
Right.
to watch the show, and you're
No.
like, well, wait a minute, what am I paying for then?
No.
That's another one. Yeah.
Remind me to cancel that. Because
That one I need you too.
I got a
I need to make a
free-
note on my to-do list. Okay, so those are the kind of the ones from like, hey, I need to just go and do a purge that way. But I've been like, a part of what I want to do, and this is more kind of the longer term goal, is, to continue to build the nest egg, is possibly moving into a smaller house, possibly like thinking about some of these bigger
What?
things, because big goals. I know I'm like making like major announcements here. I don't even know if I'm going to do it though, because like
You have to save it for me. Because
true.
what if
That
my
is
life
true.
falls apart?
I know, true. But it's also one of those things that I'm like, hey, what I would love to do is like go buy some dirt and then build exactly what I want at some
Yeah.
point in the future. But it is like those are some of the biggies though that are kind of on the list that are like, I need to like think through this and figure it out. But in the meantime, what I'm doing is like purging every piece of paper that is in this entire household because I don't want it anymore. Can I tell you what I found the other day that was amazing?
What did you find?
A Betty Crocker cookbook from 1974, and it's called like Cooking for Two or Dinner for Two or some, I don't know.
Yep.
And my mom got it for me at some point, and it is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my entire life, because there's mint jelly in pretty much every recipe, or like there's a whole section on fondue, which
You're a Welsh rarebit, and you have to look up Welsh rarebit as soon as you.
Okay, I will look that up. I don't remember seeing that, but so part of what I'm doing is like scanning all this stuff, so I have it, but then I can like donate the cookbooks and the things. But it's also like going through the cookbooks that you find like, oh, this recipe that my aunt wrote out 15 years ago for something that's like her recipe. So I found a couple of those as well, which is kind of fun. But yeah, I just need to get rid of every piece of paper. And if someone could come and clean out my garage, and what I mean by that is bring a blowtorch over and just burn all of the things in my garage.
These storage papers.
Yeah, well,
it's a problem.
Because do you have a situation, and I don't like, I move every few years because I'm weird like that, but mine is like I have stuff in my garage that I've carried to 3 different houses that I don't know what's in the box.
We used to have a show, the Claytons, called What's in That Box?
Right.
Because we've moved with this box for 5 years.
Right.
And then we opened it, and it was, at this point, it was like molded. Like it was like it had gotten moist. It was just like this. Why are we keeping this? Like it was not, it was not beneficial. I too have I have a cabinet. I'm always complaining about space, and I have a cabinet. If you go inside, it's all cookbooks that I like. Bending over is not something I'm going to do. So if I have to bend over for it, not.
That's awesome.
But those were all my cookbooks, and I Google them.
Right. So do I. And that's the whole thing. It's like, I'm like, there are recipes, like I said, like, like ones that like my aunts gave us, or that, is some sort of like family recipe that I want to keep. Those ones I'm scanning. And so my friend, who I love dearly, Andre, introduced me. And I mean, everyone knows of this, but it's something that I had never used before, is Evernote.
Yes.
And so I have saved all of these like recipes, all of these things, all of, like I said, I was mentioning, I think on the last episode, or maybe I just was talking to you about it offline. I can't remember now, that like things that a training that I went to that I'm like, oh my God, like those notes were so important that I should have them. And this is something that's like helped my career. But then it's also like silly things like, hey, that receipt for that thing that got done here at the house that I probably need for like taxes or like at some point in the future. But I like it just stacks somewhere and then I find it, when I don't need it, but never
right.
when I do need it. And so putting it all in here has been so helpful because then it's all in one place. So I can be like, oh yeah, I got that done on this date. Here's the receipt for it. Bam. Happy New Year.
That would be smart. I've done that a couple of times. I need to do that, and I have some special files of things that I just need to have a hard
Right.
copy.
Yeah.
But what
Well,
do you
yeah,
do? Like, do you have a safety deposit box for your important papers? Do you have a lock box, or do
I
you
have
just
a
like
safe.
pray
I have,
for
yeah.
best?
Well, no, I have a fire and waterproof safe.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's
That's what I
where
mean by
like,
lock box. Like
yeah.
like
I don't
inside
have
the
one
house.
like at a bank. No,
No, no, no.
I
Yeah.
it's here in the house. It has very secret, important things, but don't break in and try and find it because then you'll have bad things happen to you. The end.
But it's like, what do you do with all this paper in this electronic world? You won't find the piece of paper. You can't Google your house for the piece of paper.
Well, and so it's so funny that you say that because even like it's that type of stuff. It's like, okay, so how big is this lot? I don't know. And I know there's probably a piece of paper somewhere that has it on there. If I could go into Evernote and be like, where's the stuff on the house? Awesome. And so those are the types of things that I'm trying to like get more organized because for me, and I know you're the same way, like I'm not going to go find a book or find a receipt or find a thing. If I have it electronically, I'll find it in 30 seconds.
Right.
If I can't find it in 30 seconds, I'm just going to give up and I don't care.
Or I'll
anymore.
buy a second copy. I mean, I will say
Exactly.
as many goals as I've probably mentioned more goals on this channel. Oh wait, maybe I do have goals. Getting rid of stuff. Like we've gotten rid
Yeah.
of so many big bags of clothes because
Right.
I who was doing the Marie Kondo? That was my friend Robin was trying to do the Marie Kondo. I was like, these things do not bring me joy. And it's hard.
Yeah.
Like my husband is like a hoarder and he'll be like, I have to have 25 different types of screws. And he like will backtrack out of the trash. He'll find like this baby blanket is so important. And we're like, nobody needs a baby blanket.
Right.
So we have to do it when he's not here and take it all the way to the
Yes.
wherever place we're donating.
That's a really good point. So I just, my sister and I were fighting about something really silly about whether she had short hair most of our childhood or long hair. Cause she has this whole like, my hair was always short. My mom always cut my hair and you guys always had long hair. That's like her little poor her situation. And so we were fighting over it. And I was like, I'm going to go find pictures from childhood. And so I went into my treasure box that like, I think everyone has like your baby book and all that crap. And I'm in there and I was like, okay, so there's like a sweater that my godmother knitted for me when I was little. But I'm also like, okay, so I don't have kids. And also this is like a, 40-year-old freaking sweater that got knitted. So it's not really in great shape. Like, do you keep that stuff? Or like, do you like, what would I like? Yeah, like those are some of the questions that I have because I'm like, I don't know that I need to keep this, but then I'm like, is it bad if I'm like, forget it? like, do you feel badly if you get rid of stuff? Like, I'm sure you have kids, so it is also the like, oh, this was so and so's first, whatever.
I think what happens is as you mature, like we were talking about money, like how we've both everybody has wanted to save money, but the money we're talking about now is much different than the money we were talking about when we were 20, right? It's not the, oh, I need to save 3 months for a rainy day anymore.
Mhm.
It's, I don't want to work ever again and I have to
Yes.
save major money. Like,
Mhm.
and you, as you grow, you change. And so I feel like with some of the things, the memories that you hold have nothing to do with the item. In particular, the Cinderella. This is like a major conversation every year at Christmas time. The Cinderella makeup table that we got for Hannah. And she was like
Oh.
done with it. Like, what am I even doing with this? And we saved and worked so hard for that freaking thing. And we had to put the
Mhm.
stickers on it and the lipstick. And when you put it down, it would go bling, like Cinderella. And it's funny how parents will put an attachment to something and the kid's like, yeah, the makeup doesn't even work. Like, it's not real, mom. Like the
Right.
mirror isn't real.
Yeah.
They grow up and you're like, the fantasy
Why
is over.
why do I have a funhouse mirror, Mom? This isn't okay. I
Like,
have major
oil.
I have major image issues because of this funhouse mirror from Cinderella.
Myself in it. That perfume isn't real, mom. Like, then they look at you like you are the crazy. Like,
Right.
you cried for days over that.
Yes. Yes.
And it's hard. You remember not just the item, but the scenario that caused you. Just like your houses.
Mhm.
It's funny that you're like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna live in this house. Like, and I was when you said that, I was thinking, it's like a whole dream. You have like a house and a pool, you have a guest room, you have a pantry, and you're like, oh my god, too much. At what
No,
point it was
okay.
like,
Now
one day
you're
I'm
making
gonna
me
order-
sound like a horrible person.
It's funny how your goals change because at some
Yes.
point in your life,
Mm-hmm.
this was the dream.
Oh,
We are
totally.
living the dream.
Oh, totally. And let me be clear. This house is absolutely phenomenal and I love it dearly and it's provided me and my family a ton of amazing memories. Full stop.
Yes,
That being said,
I'm done.
it's more of the and it's so stupid. There's like just little things about it that I'm like, I would rather like build something that I like that has all of the things that I want. But
Right.
to your point, would I have been in this place 10 years ago to be able to say, well, no, I'm not going to, I'm
Right.
going to go build something myself that I want. No, I was not in the position to do that. And it's awesome to even have that thought is like, to your point, like I told my financial planner, this is the day I'm retiring, figure it out. Like,
Yeah.
whatever you need to do on your end, make all these numbers work. And he's like, well, give me more money and then we can do that. But that's not the point.
But I think it's interesting. I think it is important, even if you don't officially write it down,
Right.
to think, like you said, I love okay, what did I achieve?
Yes.
I don't think I want to talk about what I didn't achieve. I think that's really
Well,
obvious because I didn't write it down on my achieved list. But I think everyone should do that. Like,
yes.
take a full, I mean, and you don't have to go, like, don't go overboard and throw yourself into a depression.
No,
But
exactly.
the big things that you wanted to accomplish, whether it's traveling or for me, it was getting strong last year. That's what I wanted to do. It wasn't losing weight. It wasn't working out every day. It wasn't being Mrs. Olympia or Ms. Olympia
Mhm.
because we have that episode. I just wanted to be stronger.
Yes.
And I think I was
Yeah.
until
Well,
I
oh
started.
my gosh, like resiliency, like all of us, the resiliency that we all kind of were forced to create last year. In my mind, that's also getting stronger because I think, like, for me, I don't know if you feel the same way, but like we got through 2020, like that right there is like check the box, goal achieved. Because and I don't just mean like from the pandemic and like health wise, but also just like the mental health and
Yes.
the challenges that came up last year that so many of us faced that were really hard. And I am very blessed in that there are a lot of things that I didn't have to face that other people did. But last year was really challenging. Like I am a small business owner and going, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? How am I going to keep going? And then, and then it's also like, and we've talked about this, like the murder of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and others, and kind of what they did to my industry, our industry of like diversity, equity, inclusion, and what impact that actually made. That like all of a sudden every company was like, yeah, we need to spend money on this and we need to do this immediately. And so there was that kind of feeling of, oh my God, I'm glad companies are taking this seriously, but also my stomach hurts that this is why we got here. But thank you from a business perspective, because this is now, the first half of the year was rough. And now people are starting to spend money on this and actually care about this again, or care about this period, I should say.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I think there's so many things like from a goal perspective, like I was, my brother was here the other day and he's like, is that your vision board? And I'm like, yeah, from last year. I'm like, don't look at it. Just leave it. Like, it makes me sad. But yeah, like there's
it's
right. Oh, shut up. Listen, it was Fiji. But yeah, I mean, I think I was thinking about like, okay, so I have my goals now. I need to do my vision board. But then even that, I was thinking like, speaking back to magazines and magazine subscriptions, I have an entire like basket full of magazines I need to go through to like do my vision board. So anyways, okay.
should do
So
that. I will say one thing that I think the best for me personally, it's like there's an old country song called Thank God for Unanswered Prayers. And I think that,
Randy Travis.
yes, I think
Thank
it's
you.
Randy
Okay.
Travis. They're all really, they all sound like Randy
I know.
Travis.
That is such a great song though. That is a really
Yes,
lovely
it's
song.
it's a great song.
Or is
And
it
I just
George?
think about that
Now you're going to make me
from
look it up.
this year of, I think some of this, I think losing friendships was some of like Garth Brooks' Unanswered Prayers.
Garth Brooks.
That's not Randy. Sorry, Randy and Garth, because we know they're listening. But I think some of the best moments, things ultimately 2020, looking at 2020, was some of the relationships that I ended that were toxic,
Yeah.
that I knew that were toxic, and giving myself back to me and giving myself to people that invest in me as a friend, right? And that I can invest in a friend, because I think in life, so many times we try to morph situations to our own narratives. Like we try to make it fit. And this year we found out some things just don't fit. And I'm just not doing it anymore. I'm just not, I think it's gotten a little lax where it's like, maybe I'll accept this, or maybe I'm looking at this a different way. But overall, I think that was the best bad news, was having to take a really hard look at relationships and situations, and being able to purge all of that has been so great for me. Like people are like, oh, they're fighting at Thanksgiving or Christmas. I'm not over here. Like we're just not. Like,
Right.
oh, like I thought the election was going to be really bad. It wasn't for me. Like I've already we either agreed to disagree, accepted our differences, or we have split ways and moved on, so that we can get through that. I think that you've had friends like that too, where you're like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. But ultimately you feel like being not in as a toxic place, I think, has been the best part for me.
Yes. And yes. And I love that you brought that up, because I think that's one that all of us kind of were, again, forced to do because of some of the things going on in the world. And yeah, not just politics, but just all of it. And it has been interesting. And to your point, there are people that I'm like, I accept you for being different than I am from a political standpoint, from a belief standpoint, from whatever. But then there were also people that I'm like, I don't have to deal with this. Like, why would I put myself through this? Like, it's not that deep. I don't need this person in my life.
That's
And
right.
and that's not to be like a jerk, like, oh, I don't care about people, but it is like, to your point, like I need to save my own sanity and my own well-being. And this isn't contributing to my well-being. And so I could say cuss words,
But I think we did that the opposite too, right? I
Mhm.
think you and I and Robin especially invested a lot in our friendship this year, more than we had in
Right.
years past, even though we've always done it. But it was like, these are the people I really want in my life. Like I want
Right.
to be there. And you realize, every one of us realized who accept us for who we are wholly, where we talk about bringing on our full selves to work, but we don't talk about bringing our full selves to friendships, because
Right.
sometimes you don't bring your full selves there,
Right.
and
Absolutely.
if you want to know, at my funeral, ask them what my drink of preference is, my drink of choices. And if anything, but he says anything besides Corona, we weren't real friends. Just so you know.
Amen.
That's where you put them in the church.
Wait,
That's how
it
you
wasn't
treat
your
them.
wine of the month club selections. If you don't cancel that this week, I'm going to just keep making fun of you, because that's
But I
ridiculous.
still have wine everywhere. I'm gonna be the wine bunny.
So
in
drive
my
it on over
neighborhood.
here, sister. Like, hey, you know it'll get drunk here. Not by me per se, but
I'm
other
just gonna put
people.
Happy New Year in a bottle with a ribbon, random,
Right.
throughout Waco.
Oh my
I'll be
God, you
like, the
totally
wine
should.
fairy.
Just drop it off at people's doorstep. Although maybe don't do that unless you know them,
I have
because like
rings
if they
now.
don't drink, that's probably not nice. But Okay, so goal setting. So I'm glad that just through this little episode, you've set all of your goals for the year. I'm glad that we were able to get through that. That's great.
My whole life has
Hopefully,
been
you're
planned. I
taking
feel so
notes and writing it down.
I gotta watch this and write it down again.
So here's the thing, though. Like I guess like kind of my last thing I'll say on this one to wrap the episode on my end is I think it's choosing whatever you choose to do to like set yourself up for the year. But I think reflection is the big one, like reflecting on what last year meant to you or did not mean to you. And then like, I'm totally just just get better, every year. Like even, I mean, you're never going to be perfect, but if you can make an improvement in some area, do it. Like just get better, period. Be better.
It's too short. It's too short to be with people that don't make you happy in a scenario that doesn't make you happy.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a new car last year. I was like, screw this old car. I deserve it. And if I work very hard, I'm getting a new one.
Yes,
period.
Absolutely. And I think those are the things. So what is your so I just shared my kind of wrap. What's your last wrap up item for this episode?
I think that's mine. Is like is life's too short. Don't look at the things and be realistic about what makes you happy and try to go for some of those this year. Eat the cake.
Eat the pizza and the cake.
And the purse. Todd said buy the purse.
He's
gonna regret that.
Yeah, you said so. It's being recorded. So it is heard, so it shall be. No, I think that's great. Okay, so thank you all so much for joining us for the Inclusive AF podcast. This is Katee Van Horn.
And this is Jackye Clayton. And we'll see you next time.
Have a great day.
Bye.